Hi. So I made a post a couple days ago about all of our Christmas production, and as you'll see in these clips, the shop is an absolute disaster because I can't do anything small. I gotta always do 100 things at the same time, so it's a little bit of a mess. But we're doing all of our kind of fall Christmas production, getting all the things ready to re-outfit our store for the holiday season, and posted some pictures of all that. It's always fun to kind of share. But there's a lot of comments and concern about one of the glue ups I did because I posted in a few different groups and pages, where I interact with a lot of people there, a lot of great people in these groups, and a lot of well-meaning comments of concern about the way I was doing the slabs. So I put a picture up on here somewhere, but the slabs that I'm making are for what we call shuffles. It's our, kind of mini shuffleboard that you've got with bowling and shuffleboard and all kinds of things built into one game. And pretty popular. We sold out of them in our store. We had a few in there. So we're making some more for the holidays. And what we did was we've got some kind of like butcher block, some walnut butcher block. And then, we got the with the long grain. And then in the middle, we have we have a couple of slabs of cherry and ash and hard maple to kind of separate that central zone, but the grain is going perpendicular to the black walnut ends. Um, and then we glued that up. And a lot of people are concerned about that. So number one, yes, wood expands and contracts. And yes, making grain perpendicular to other grain is quite potentially going to break apart. But what we do is it's my process. Doesn't mean it's the best process. Doesn't mean that there aren't better processes. But this is my process. So when we make these shuffle boards, we make thick slabs, right? Because I want a little bit of consistency in that. So we make thick slabs, usually 1.5 to 3 inches thick, depending on how many games we're going to make out of that slab. In this case, it's about 1.5 inches. We're going to make 2 boards out of one slab. So I will glue up all the material, perpendicular, parallel, all that. I'll glue it all up into the slab, shape the slab, and then take it to the bandsaw behind me here and resaw it into the different slabs that I need for the shuffleboards. After that, we don't leave it that way because that could potentially break apart. No matter what kind of finish we put on there, moisture will come in and expel from that wood. So, um, so that would potentially crack the joint. So what we do is I then take it to my crosscut sled on the table saw, job size saw, table saw, and then cut it at that glue joint where we had the perpendicular grain, right? And then after we cut those apart, of course, label each piece so I don't forget which piece goes to which board in what order. Then we put 3 dominoes into it. Now, you don't have to have, I've got a Festool domino, got one used about a year or so ago from a guy who was getting out of woodworking. Got a great deal on it, so I was able to afford it. But I used to do this same technique using dowels. It's basically a loose tenon technique. And what it is that on these particular boards, I put 3 dominoes or 3 tenons, or you could do, like I said, 3 dowels. And what you do is, like you do with breadboard ends for tables, in this case, doing the center dowel will be glued tight, right? So as you'll see when I'm showing you kind of how this is all made, first, I'll mark the lines across the board so I know where the dowels will line up. And then I will do 2 different widths on the tenons, on the mortises. So the center mortise, I will make tight to the diameter of my domino or my tenon or my dowel. So there's no play. And then I will glue that center tenon up on both sides so it's nice and tight. And that will be kind of what holds the 2 pieces together. Then the outer 2 tenons, those are going to be loose. So I'll actually use the domino to make that slot wider. It's the same height, so I want a good snug fit going vertically so I don't get any kind of shifting. But then on the outer tenons, you can see that the slot is wider than, the mortises are wider than the tenon. So that will allow for the expansion and contraction of the wood, right? But this center one will get glued on both sides, and so it creates a nice strong joint. Now, with these, this whole slab that you see in the picture, this whole slab is going to be mounted to a substrate that will have walls on it. So this will get a finish. Uh, Now, that was the second concern that folks are saying. I guess you were assuming I was trying to glue this onto the slab. I am not gluing it onto the slab. I'm actually going to screw the slabs onto the base, and I do that by kind of the same concept as this. I'll make a recess for where the screw is going to go, and then on the screw slots, I'll actually give it some, uh, a little bit of width. I'll make the screw hole inside that a little bit wider to allow movement of the slab across the base. So that way, as it expands and contracts, that it's not going to break free from the base or tear up the base or cause pressure, which would cause the butcher block piece to bow or anything else like that. So uh, depending on when I post this video, maybe I'll have some pictures of that because I'm a long way from actually mounting these to the bases. But it's the same concept, like I said, except it's using screws and it's coming through the bottom. Because I do like to put a finish on both sides of the slab. Uh, Great advice, always do that, because then you'll get more even moisture penetration when it does penetrate. So otherwise, if you put finish on one side and not the other, that one side is not going to get as much moisture penetration, the other will, and it'll start to bow and cup. So always finish both sides. But then by screwing it down with those screw slots, it gives it some room to move while keeping the slab fastened to the base. So for all those who were concerned, all those who are worried, I appreciate your concern. Um, I know a picture is worth 1,000 words, but there are probably a million words not included in there. And how it was the final assembly is going to look and how it's going to be attached to the base were two things that were not included in those pictures. So hopefully this alleviates a little bit of your stress. And like I said, appreciate your concern. And keep the comments coming. I'd love to interact with folks. Take care. God bless.